Back in September of 2020, I decided to pick up my first Korean album, Girls' Generation's third album repackaged, Mr. Taxi, alongside a Beast X King Red Ranger. But from that day on, I started collecting more and more albums, and have even recorded myself opening them up and not bothering uploading them. If you don't know, one of the most common inclusions modern albums come with are photocards, to which the driving point is to be able to obtain every single member of a group to consider yourself complete.
Oh, yes! Oh, I'm sorry.
As I have felt obligated to at least have one full set of photocards within my collection of albums, I messaged the one and only Josh Perry if I can rip off his series, Project Unlocked, to which I was rejected. But nevertheless, that was not going to stop my journey on obtaining a full set of Mr. Taxi photocards. This is PowerRider, and you're watching Photocard Supersonic.
So, here we go with episode 0. So, I'm just going to, show off what I already have pulling before we actually get to the remaining 8 we need. So, this is in reverse order because I just grabbed it off my shelf. But yeah, as you can see right here, because the videos aren't out, I have 3 versions of the third album. So, I've already explained this a lot, but essentially, so this is the original third album, The Boys, came in this tin box and, had postcard-esque things included. This is the lyric book, there's the SM ad, and then here are the, again, postcard things that have, messages from each member, and then I think that's it, because then obviously you get the photo cards. However, obviously these photo cards are different than these ones. Obviously I got this off of Mercari, and the seller was actually providing 2 photo cards, which was nice of them and such. Again, if I actually do continue this series, that might be a season 2. As of now, I don't really have any interest on collecting the Boys photo card set, because the Boys technically does have 10, because you can get a group card like this. But I don't know how likely that is. Speaking of group card, this is the last one I was looking for, but this is not the group card. It's in the same set as, or same setting as the Boys, so that doesn't make sense. And then I'll jump to this one right away, because this one might be confusing and technically doesn't count. But this is the special album. This is the US release of The Boys, before, US releases of albums became common. It's just a simplified version of the album. It does still include all the pictures, because it is a jewel case, the standardized jewel case. Mine broke right away. That's fun. And technically, this one has the most content out of both of these, which is great. Even if it's just remixes in the English version, because the Korean version is track 13. This is what we're here for. The third album repackaged, Mr. Taxi. My first Korean album that I'm sadly making so I can get back in September of 2020. So, obviously, as you can see from here, the contents of this consist of more postcards, so that's the only common thing. And just like the Boys, you get individual postcards of each member, and then it'll just cut to lyrics. Other than that, there's not really much going on with this one, except for the photo cards. I personally don't know when these photo cards were taken, but the reason why I want to go for the Mr. Taxi ones specifically is just because it's probably my favorite set out of the ones I've seen. And now obviously, as you can see here, I managed to pull a Yuna, which I'm happy because a Yuna is, I think, the second most expensive, or is the most expensive. So the fact I pulled her is amazing. Switch. If it actually wants to focus, it doesn't want to. We now have 8 remaining cards we need to get. And, you know, obviously I'm showing off the contents because we're going to go over it multiple times. The content, like the CD contents are lacking. Because the technically for a repackage, you would expect, typically, or traditionally, with a repackage, there would be a new title track, and then like at least 2 to 3 more songs. They didn't bother with that with this time around, especially because this repackage came out like 2 months after this, which is now with SNthat's typical. Back then, you had to wait like longer. But this repackage, essentially, because the thing is that this already includes the Korean version of Mr. Taxi, but they just made it the title track here, and they essentially just made Mr. Taxi from track 12 to track 1, and then the boys, the Korean version is now track 2. The only new inclusion is the English version of the boys, which just doesn't make sense. Like, I understand, like, just including that, but like, really, like, I understand, like, we're already at 13 tracks. It's like, what more do you want? Then again, like, Shiny can have albums with over 20 songs. But then again, that's in like 2015, 2016. This is 2011 we're talking about. So yeah, that's what we're gonna have to deal with and such. I personally don't know how long the duration of these episodes are supposed to be, but then again, it's like, you know, gotta rip off from Josh. So now we got that out of the way. Let's struggle with putting this in and let the journey begin nonetheless. So now, as I said before, we now have 1 out of 9 photo cards.